Yeah. Well, yeah, you got that from John. Oh, yes. Oh, look, it's Shag the Band. All right. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome back to
Day
the
drinking again.
It's Day Drinking with Shag.
Yeah.
What are we drinking today?
Well, we're still working on this keg of Hellas Bock.
Right.
Well, we shall have to work harder.
That in there is a German Pilsner that is ripe and ready to come out. And we'll be kegging that, I'm sure, in the next, let's say 7 days.
Okay, so sometime next episode, a couple
maybe
more
next
episodes from now.
Yeah, probably 2 more episodes.
A couple more. We might be drinking the German Pilsner.
So the German Pilsner,
cool.
Yeah.
I like Pilsner. I think that's like one of my more favorite beers. So
yeah. Boy, when it comes out well, it's great.
Yeah.
So Headbanger Brewing, come on down.
So
Krash, what's the temperature in Winnipeg today?
I have a family in Winnipeg right now. And it is, I believe it's minus 37, but like minus 45 or something with the wind chill, which, Winnipeggers, they can manage that, right? But if you took us West Coasters and plopped us there, I don't even have a jacket for that. I don't know about you guys. Like, I don't have the requisite outdoor clothing for minus 40. Like, and you know what? I hope I never need it.
Although I moved to Halifax and you learn pretty quick to make sure you have the right clothing. Yeah. I mean, you grew up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
I grew up in Northern Ontario and Quebec. So, I'm not some, West Coast snowflake.
Hey.
I mean, I am now. I didn't used to be.
They melt very quickly.
Snowflake is beautiful.
Of course, it's the wind that really kills you, right?
Yeah,
it's the wind is the
WindKill Factor.
Pierces, everything. But
I took my kids back to Saskatchewan one year for Christmas, and it usually is. December is kind of like nice. It's that nice warm snow. It's sparkly. It's fluffy. It's very Christmas magical kind of thing. But for whatever reason, this one year, it was literally that minus 45, biting, just absolute freezing, worst weather ever.
You get that crunchy snow.
Yeah, and I think I've warded them off from ever wanting to.
Yeah. Like it's so dry, right?
Yeah. It was painful. I was like, Mother Nature is not forgiving whatsoever. And, it's like, it's super brutal.
Yeah, it's cold out there.
Yeah. So here on the West Coast, it's a little bit warmer, but you'll see. So I guess I'll for the first time yet.
Are you going to?
He's taking off.
Wow. I'm taking off a layer.
All right.
In true Shag the Band performance.
What do you got?
Stripped down throughout the set.
What are you wearing under there?
Wow.
Here, let me help you with
Well,
that.
thank you.
Just like when we're on stage.
Yes, please help me dress and undress me.
Can we put a link to the merch website?
Yeah, we need a merch. Okay, we got to get a merch website. Okay.
So we've got your Shag the Band T-shirt on underneath, which if anyone ever wants one, you can
go to this link.
Yeah. Go to this link.
And order a T-shirt. Shag Band, super cool.
They are.
And on my T-shirt, I would invite any listeners or viewers, and for people who are listening, my T-shirt says, "These are difficult times," and it has 2 stabs of time signatures, and the first one is 13/8, and the next one is 6/4.
It's like Miss Sugar time.
Yeah.
So if somebody can please play those and send in a clip, we'd appreciate that.
13/8, 6/4. Ththese are difficult times. So
they are.
There you go.
I gotta say, as a dumb hard rock, punk rock guy, I cannot play those times. I mean, I'll just I'll hear what the song sounds like and I'll imitate it or whatever. But if you said to me, okay, this is in 13/8, I'd be like, you need to
feel it.
You need a different guitar player.
Just feel it, Krash. Just feel it.
Someone is, I'm going to get schooled here. I'm entirely sure. But my understanding, I know 3/4 and 4/4.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's pretty much
exactly.
The occasional,
which I guess means 6/8 as well.
The occasional 7, whatever Pink Floyd time is, whatever time signature that is. But my understanding is that 13/8 would be 13 beats, and your kind of turnaround is every 8 bars, right? I guess. I don't know. Someone can school me on that and bring their theory knowledge to this. I'm just a singer. What do I know?
Listen, kids, The reading music's for nerds. Don't.
I'm just a singer in your rock and roll band.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But
I just sang something. Does that get us into a copyright issue?
No, I don't think so.
Can I sing one line?
I think you're allowed to sing one line or two. And interestingly,
the
though,
bots won't catch it.
there's
We're just
something
learning
I was gonna
this podcast
comment on that later. But actually, I did want to say off the top, has anybody got new music that they want to talk about? I do.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, so it's new to me. I don't think it's new per se, but I've discovered this group called Black Country New Road out of the UK, and they're this like super experimental post-rock, post-punk jazz with a ton of brass, and they just popped up on a random playlist. And their lead singer, and he's the lyricist, he does this kind of spoken word sort of in a way that makes him sound like this neurotic, strung out, paranoid, I don't know, drug addict or something.
His mom's going to be hearing this, you know.
Well, she probably heard his song. She'd probably agree. But anyways, their stuff gets really cacophonous. And so anyways, the one song I heard that I've listened to a few times and I need to listen to, it's like a 10-minute opus basically with movements in it and stuff, called Sunglasses. And like my favorite part of the song is he goes, "I'm invincible in these sunglasses. I am the Fawns. I'm the Jack of Hearts. I'm looking at you all and you cannot tell I am more than the sum of my parts. I'm invincible behind these sunglasses."
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
So
you
I love it.
that for me.
It's
That's
so
awesome.
great.
Wow.
Anyways, so
Corey Hart has entered the chat.
Yeah, I
Yeah, for sure. Totally right. But yeah, check
Bruce
it out.
Allen. I remember seeing he was on like a Dina interview show or something like that, good Canadian content. And he goes, "Yeah, I remember Corey Hart. I gave him one piece of advice. I said, lose the pout.
Lose the pout.
Lose the pout. It's great. It's a great hook the first time, right?"
And what's he known for now? The sunglasses and the pout, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey kids, if you're wanting to hear some good Canadian rock and roll, straight up, as pure as the ice-driven Kokanee Glacier water, Ian Blurton's Future Now. Not a new release, but reasonably new. Just straight up awesome. And if you're into vintage guitar and recording equipment and stuff like that, everything's like from the 70s and 60s, and just so amazing tones. And,
do their amps have like that padded sparkle kind of like stuff on the outside of them?
Yeah, they all go to 11 as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love that album. It was actually, Spotify gives your like year-end review, and I think it was like my most listened.
And we'll have links to all of these down below.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't mind also giving a shout out to my good friends Howling Mindglide in Montreal. They've just released 2 albums at Christmas time. Go listen to them; they're killer.
Super cool.
And that's a good segue into what we were thinking of doing, Krash, is getting them through you to let us play their stuff while we do a podcast.
In the background.
Because the law and of the copyright and music is complex, and it hinders what we would normally do, which is have these conversations while listening to music.
Yeah, and then you get a copyright strike and all your hard work for naught.
And so what we were thinking is, what if we invited bands to send us their original music that they've got the rights to, and we could just play them in the background of our podcast
as we're having our chat.
Links to the thing in the description.
So bands, if you've got stuff that you actually own the rights to, send them to this
coming up soon.
There.
Yeah,
we will,
let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
I will try to find one of the members of Howling Mindglide that isn't totally drunk and stoned enough to give consent.
Sure. Yeah, perfect. But yeah,
it's tough on the weekends. I got to tell you.
That's the thing I was noticing about like our last couple episodes that we did was that after we finished taping, we'd put the tunes on, and all of a sudden the conversation just went right up. And I'm like,
that's our story. And
energy.
This is the best content, and it's because I think it just creates that ambience in the background that makes it feel a little bit more like a social event, right? So, being able to have tunes in the background while we're having a chat would be stellar.
Turns the Lizard Lounge into a speakeasy.
Well,
and some CanCon.
Yeah, CanCon for sure. Yeah.
Did I mention, I think a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure if I did, why speakeasies speakeasies were called speakeasies.
I'm not sure you did it on the podcast.
I don't know, and if I did, I apologize that I'm repeating myself. But they're originally called speakeasies because during Prohibition, it was speak easy, like quietly, like don't, you know. So if you're in a legal bar, don't be like loud and obnoxious and drunk. Speak quiet and easy.
Between the two of us, neither one of us get it.
I know they'd be kicked out so fast.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you'd get the place blasted.
Speak easy
right?
now.
Yeah, well, that's
in that
it.
1930s,
So,
you know, kind of.
but yeah, so we were thinking about talking about like kind of legalese, kind of copyright issues in music, and
Wow, this is all segueing very well.
and stuff today. And so I actually can I share a story that I found that
Welcome to the new segment. What's on Trixie's mind?
What's on Trixie's mind? So I found I didn't know that Led Zeppelin got sued over Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, their riff. And in fact, that lawsuit didn't happen until 2014. And you may ask yourself, why did it take so long? Because Stairway to Heaven came out in 1971. 1971 it was released.
No, it's got to be way later.
No, it was 71.
Really? 1971?
Yeah, 1971. Yeah.
Wow.
And so it took until 2014 for this lawsuit to happen. And the reason why is because in the U.S., I mean, things are different here in Canada in laws, but in the U.S., there was this Supreme Court ruling, Petrola versus MGM, you know, MGM Studios, that a copyright suit could be brought after long delays. Essentially, so there's this thing called limitations period. So generally in litigation, there's going to be limitations probably under different legislation. In one area, it might be 2 years, another might be 3, whatever it is.
This broadcast contains no legal advice.
There's no legal advice here.
Never take legal advice from rock and rollers.
Usually a limitation period is like from the time that you know that the thing occurred, you have like 2 years or whatever the period is after you've become aware of whatever issue, right?
Yeah.
To bring on a lawsuit.
Is this the same thing as the statute of limitations?
Yes,
Which I think that's what sort of the layman type folks.
That's the legal term for it, as I understand it. As I understand, as a non-legal person, that's as I understand.
Or it could be called the Limitation Act.
So you could say so this was really well after what you would think would be like the expiration of that statute of limitations.
That song came out in 1971.
Not 2014.
Lawsuit.
It's like, give me a break.
Yeah, 2014.
At some point, you're supposed to be able to say, "Hey, I guess I got away with it."
Yes. At some point, you should be able to sleep at night.
In 2014, in the U.S., the Supreme Court ruled on Petrola versus MGM that limitation period can get reset after an infringement of each act, including things like remastering or continued royalties. And in fact, in 2014, Led Zeppelin remastered a bunch of their works and released it. And therefore, a suit was got
the old resetting of the limitation period.
So,
Gotcha.
I got an angle, Charlie.
Gotcha.
So the actual, as you would call it, style of cause of the Led Zeppelin was Skidmore versus Led Zeppelin. And it's because it was actually the trustee estate of the late guitarist Randy Wolf from a band called Spirit that filed the lawsuit. So
didn't he have a cooler name than that?
He was Randy California.
Yeah,
Randy California.
I knew it.
Yeah, and he died in 97, and then you fast forward to 2014. The Supreme Court makes the ruling, and Skidmore's in there like a skid on a.
Yeah. It's so often it's the estates that sue, right? The artist himself goes, "Yeah, well, I stole that riff from so and so anyway, so I'm not going to sue." But the estate, same thing with the estate that sued George Harrison for My Sweet Lord.
Sure, and it's like
right.
If you ask that guy back, you'd be like, "Well, Jimmy and I was both pretty shit faced." I don't remember really who came up with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So Randy Wolf, aka Randy California. So this is actually kind of what happened. The band Spirit actually toured with Led Zeppelin a couple times in the late '60s, and they had released a song in 1968 called "Tourist." So this is the song in question, right? And Randy Wolf said, he goes, "No, I totally taught Jimmy Page this lick. and it was a complete ripoff. So he had complained his whole living life about it. So then he dies in the estate, waits till 2014 till this ruling, and bam, they bring on the lawsuit. So trial comes before a jury in 2016. And this was so interesting. The jury wasn't actually allowed to listen to the two songs.
They had to look at the sheet.
They had to look at the sheet music because the song Taurus, it was actually written before federal copyright covered recordings.
Yeah.
And so Taurus was governed by an old 1909 Copyright Act, some super old-timey act. And so they were only allowed to look at sheet music, which is like totally unfair because...
What year was this case?
In 1916.
It's like...
No, this case they weren't allowed to listen to it.
2016.
2016.
But the original song was governed by
the previous act.
by a 1909 act.
That says you can't play it in court?
Well, no, it was written before there was a change in the rules. And so it didn't cover recorded material. It only covered printed material. So they were only allowed to look at the actual
it's almost literally the same thing as
super
saying,
unfair.
Here's our evidence, but it's all in Hungarian.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Right. Like exactly.
And here's Grandma from Hungary who's going to explain it all to you.
I am expert with this.
Exactly, right?
Well, it's interesting because like John Fogerty, all right? It's and now a message from OK Boomers. Like John Fogerty, the guy from Creedence Clearwater Revival, writes these songs.
Also the guy from John Fogerty.
Yes, gets into this big battle because he realized his producer, the record company Fantasy, is screwed him on the contract.
They sure have.
And he goes, "Well, I'm just going to stop doing work for you guys." And then he waits until the contract ends, and then he does a song and gets sued over it, saying that sounds too much like your last song.
Yeah.
And
He wasn't.
He went to court and played the two songs.
Uh-huh.
So that would have gotten around what you're talking
That would have
about.
been smart,
right?
I see what you're saying.
Because
that would have been smart.
it's not recorded. It's here I am.
Yeah.
Here's my guitar. Here's the song I wrote in 1968.
Yeah.
right?
And here's how it's different from the one
I think it was
19...
Run Through the Jungle. And here's the song I wrote in 1980, which is like The Old Man Down the Road.
So they needed
It was The Old Man Down the Road. It wasn't Centerfield? No,
Old Man Down the Road.
They needed a more creative lawyer who would have gone, I know how to get around this. I'm just going to bring musicians in to play these songs off the sheet music, live in court.
Why didn't anybody think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Because...
Drop the ball on that one.
Because Fogerty's case was like mid to late 80s, I think.
Yeah. Interesting.
That was great, though. He waited out. He said, fine, I'll shut down Creedence Clearwater.
And then,
I'll wait out my contract, and then I'll just re-record. And now, like, everyone's like, who was it that re-recorded all of her? Not Shania Twain.
Wasn't it Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, yeah.
Yeah, she re-recorded all her stuff.
So brilliant, right?
Yeah.
I could just see, like, in the court, Fogerty comes out, plays the first song on his red guitar, changes guitars to his blue guitar, and goes, "You see, how could they be the same?"
And the jury went,
"This is clearly a blue guitar."
Yeah.
The other side's lawyer goes, "That was unfair. The jury was just starstruck. John Fogerty was just there playing music."
Your Honor, Mr. Fogerty is taking advantage of the stupidity of this jury.
But so it's anyways in 2016 the jury ruled in favor of Led Zeppelin because apparently the songs, and I quote, were not intrinsically similar. But I think well, okay, and I'm gonna bring
this blues scale.
I'm gonna bring that up later, but I think they're super similar. So Taurus on Spotify, if you find it there.
Or Apple Music or any streaming service.
Or any streaming service you
wherever
can find.
you find your music.
Wherever you find your music.
Napster is legal now.
At
one of
44
the
seconds.
Services.
It begins. So the lick in question is at 44 seconds to about 1 minute 10 seconds. It's pretty short. And then Stairway to Heaven.
Kicks off.
It right away, and it does a round of twice of it till about 25 seconds. So you really only need to play the first round. And in a moment that may require editing out, Miles, did your 360 camera just stop recording?
Maybe.
Okay, so I'm going to continue telling you this cool story because this is not the end of the Skidmore versus Led Zeppelin saga here.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. So the lawyer representing the estate, Francis Malfoy, I don't know. Anyways, I apologize.
You'd be a terrible hockey announcer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, super terrible. Said that if the recordings had been allowed to be played in court, he believed it would have gone in favor of the estate. So the estate, of course, they appeal. And one reason cited was because the jury was not allowed to listen to the recordings. But Skidmore appealed on the grounds, because you usually need a reason, again, not legal advice. You need a reason to appeal, either because there was an error in fact or an error in law. And he said there was an error in not giving jury instructions, proper instructions regarding what was called the inverse ratio rule. And this is where everything hinged on. So they get a new trial. And the appeals court said, yeah, you get a new trial. So in the U.S., and I'll be honest, I don't really know if it was federal law.
Do we know what happened in the new trial?
Law. Yes, we do. Oh. I'm not done telling the story yet. There is a conclusion.
It's not
to this
still
story.
ongoing. That's great.
There is a conclusion to the story. I don't know if this was like their federal law or California or what, because they've got federal state laws there. But the inverse ratio rule has this like two-part kind of test, or what they call pillars. One pillar, they call it similarity, and the other one is access. Is it reasonable to believe that we think that an accused infringer heard song A before writing song B? So you put those two things together, and then called the inverse ratio rule. And how it works is that the stronger the evidence of a defendant's access to the copyrighted work, the less proof you need to prove similarity, and vice versa. So it's like a mathematical trade-off between access and between access and similarity. And Ed McPherson, the lawyer for Led Zeppelin, he told Variety magazine he thought it was a terrible rule. And
I mean, it is a terrible rule because it's not objective.
Well, wait a minute. So you mean that when I recorded Stairway to Heaven in 1966 on my reel-to-reel, I put it in an envelope, I mailed it to myself to prove the copyright, like we all did back in the 60s and 70s.
I put it in my time capsule.
You know, because then you, right?
I still have like unopened envelopes.
So that's totally irrelevant. That would be a big zero on that. So therefore, no matter how identical it was, I go, there's no chance that they opened your envelope. Yeah. Go away. Yeah. You lose.
The law is an ass.
I don't know. But the Court of Appeal
Mind you, this is Canada. Who knows what would happen here? Still not legal advice.
Eventually, the Court of Appeal agreed that it was a terrible rule, and they upheld the original verdict. In other words, Led Zeppelin ultimately won in the end. And now this inverse ratio rule has basically been abandoned everywhere in the U.S.
Oh, but I just opened my envelopes and listened to it again because before the appeal decision.
But
and that scribbling sound in the background, that's Jimmy Page taking notes.
I was literally just listening to random music that was coming up on, whatever the other day. And this song came up called Ascension Day by Talk Talk. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I didn't realize who it was at first. And I was like, oh, somebody redid the Peanuts theme because it has like an identical riff. And at the...
It's super cool. So cool.
And
all music nerds know that.
And, well, I mean, who among us does not know it if you grew up in the era of watching, Peanuts cartoons, right?
And then on top of that, if you're a musically inclined person, it's just a killer... It's just a killer riff, That
should be the costume change.
Oh, that would be a great costume.
You keep trying to pitch one. That's the one we should do.
Pretty good.
I think
I also like WKRP.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you do the Peanuts. You punk it out.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners, so they know, because we're such a costume changey band. Particularly myself and the two backup singers, I keep saying we need an instrumental song in which we can leave the stage. And so we've been trying to figure out what a great instrumental song is. I'm trying to pitch the Kids in the Hall theme, and WKRP in Cincinnati has come up. But Peanuts, you're right, that might be kind of super
People
fun.
will listen to that for it.
Yeah.
It's a little Christmassy, though.
Kind of. It makes me
Maybe.
think of Christmas,
Makes
right?
me think of
But
Christmas.
it's upbeat. It makes you think of wonderful times.
For me, like I'm a super Grinch person, and
Yeah.
outside of like
Or a mean
2
one.
weeks of the year, I don't want to think about Christmas. I don't want to know Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
Personally. But I mean, that's the only knock
But
against hater.
I'm just going to wrap up my Led Zeppelin story here with one final thing, because it was to your point that you guys were talking about earlier. Some of the other arguments that that the estate made during the trial, the appeal, and they objected. They actually objected to the court's instruction to the jury that copyright does not protect common musical elements like scales, arpeggios, or short sequences of 3 notes, which, of course, it can't protect that, because like anyone who's ever had to take a music lesson, or if you've got kids that you've made take music lessons, you're like, practice your scales,
Yes, right.
So it's like
Or as Rick Beato would say, practice your arpeggios.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the A minor arpeggio is probably the first thing any budding young guitarist learns when they get to that thing. Like, I mean, if I'm teaching you guitar, I'm going to show you your cowboy chords, and once you got those, and you're like, okay, but I want to play lead guitar, I'm going to be like, well, here's the A minor pentatonic scale, which is which from that you can derive an A minor arpeggio, and if you were learning arpeggios, you would go da 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 da. Like, I mean,
there is a house
Come on.
in your head.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't
So
know. There's a
you go.
lot more to art than just like writing the thing. Like Led Zeppelin added the lyrics and the staging and the imagery, and they toured it and they recorded it and they put it out on Led Zeppelin 4 and I danced to it at high school dances. And
Yes.
but I mean, like, it's I find it so disingenuous for somebody to say, "Oh, I came up with that." Yeah, but what did you do with it? Nothing. Zeppelin turned it into a worldwide like, I'm sure you could walk into any bar in Bangkok, put on Stairway to Heaven, and everybody in the place is going to be like, Stairway.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So give me a break.
And just
Give
to
me a
say,
break.
I just wanted to say that a lot of that information I got from Andrew Limbaum from NPR News, and Loeb LLP law firm, and of course Wikipedia. Thanks. I made my donation this year. Did anybody else?
I make a donation.
I
at Wikipedia.
regularly
usually
I donate.
I give them
not
either
all the time.
20, 50, depends on how I'm feeling the day that they reach out
Very nice.
and say, the free and fair internet is in danger. And I'm like, depending on how hard that resonates with me, which is going to be somewhere between medium and super high, I give them some money.
Yeah, Wikipedia is great. It's not necessarily always accurate.
Accurate.
No.
That is so true.
Right. Yeah.
like,
but
double
it's
check.
great. It's great. It's
To get up to speed on something fast, it's
it is. It's a great overview.
It's usually what I go to.
Yeah.
You were saying something about Napster before.
Yeah.
You mentioned Napster, and that reminds me of the
good old days.
of a real knockdown, drag out public war between the Napster company, the newly founded Napster company, and the giant behemoth that is Metallica.
Is that the free piratey Napster or the corporate post Napster?
I'm going to talk about the Napster that was launched in 1999 by a couple of college buddies who just wanted a way of sharing music between sort of, like a lot of these things. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if I could set up a thing that then you could use, you get my MP3s and I get your MP3s, and then, then we could invite, Jerry. And then next thing you know, it's like, dude, why don't we just do this for like everybody in the world? And, and these guys, I think they had a bigger strategic business idea behind it. And, you might say even philosophical thing that, they wanted music to be available and free for everybody and that, right? And it's funny because I was watching some videos and background videos on this stuff, and it's, first of all, 1999 Napster, 2000 this lawsuit, right? And I'm like, man, I remember that like it was yesterday. Like I remember, and I was a big Napster user, guys. Like I've melted a couple of modems, okay? Like like I had
remember when we were talking about limitation periods, right?
Yeah. What's this piece of plastic slag on my desk? It's like, oh, my modem. I've melted another one. I was a big Napster user. And then I was a LimeWire user, and now I must say, and we can get back to this some other time. I'm against illegal sharing or copying of anything. Now I got woke to that, but at the time it was like, hey, you like music, right? Yeah. Do you want all the music for free? Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Would you like every movie ever made for free too?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
In 1999, 2000, you weren't able to download movies yet, but you sure as hell could download a 3-minute MP3.
Yeah.
And I was all about it. And so anyway, what happened? Like people, like at the peak of Napster, there was 80 million people using Napster. 80 million people who are essentially walking into the record store and taking anything they want and going home with it, right? What happened with Metallica was they heard their song. It was called "I Disappear," and it wasn't released yet. In fact, it wasn't even finished. It was still in like a demo-y, pre-production sort of state. And they started playing it on radio stations all across America. And Lars and the boys were like, "What's going on? We haven't released this out. Like, how did anybody get this? How is this getting to the radio stations?" Kind of freaked out a little bit, and they found out that it had been leaked through Napster. So, like, I don't know about you guys, but my first reaction to something like that, and it was actually Metallica's first reaction to that, was like, shut these guys down. Like, this is out of bounds, right? Like, okay, however you feel about, sharing music and stuff like that, it should at least be finished, eh? Like, it should at least...
If you're going to bootleg it, bootleg the good stuff.
No one can
man.
see me in the light of day without my makeup on. My
Yeah.
God.
Okay, there's a difference between renting an adult movie at Blockbuster and the Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson tape. There's a big difference, right? So they were like, look, we gotta shut this down, and so they kind of jumped in feet first and said, we're going to war with these guys, and we're going to and by the way, the record company was 100% behind them, and in fact encouraged them in this action, because there had already been lawsuits against Napster by this time, brought by record companies, but nobody took it seriously because it was just like this stupid legal thing. Everybody's too busy downloading music, bro.
Right.
I was, When I see,
and it was corporate versus the pirate, right? My generation.
And honestly, it's funny how you can give yourself excuses for what otherwise you'd probably consider bad behavior. Like when it's in your favor. It's like you think this is stealing? No, man. It's like promoting their music, man. It's like it's free advertising. Actually, they should thank me, bro. It's like, come on, right? So anyway, I was back. Like I downloaded a lot of stuff. So,
I'm an influencer.
I'm an influencer. I'm sharing it with my friends, and then maybe they'll buy the record, because why would anybody buy the record now? Anyway, the fact that it was an unfinished track, I think, was what really put those guys over the edge. So they sued, and you can find all this stuff on the internet. It's all out there for you to go find out about. They won, but they lost a lot of support. They lost a lot of political capital, if whatever you want to call it, right? People really hated Metallica because they had done this, and just about every member. Well, I say just about every member. When they talk to the members of Metallica, it's always like it's Papa Hat or Lars or Kirk Hammett, right? They're the people that are allowed to talk, and but all of them, over the years, have said, first of all, we didn't accomplish anything from this, and B, nobody backed us up. They said, artists would come up to us and be like, "You guys are doing the work of the angels. You're on the right side of this, and we support you 100%." And like Hetfield in an interview, he's like, "Well, come on board, man. Like, sign up." They're like, "Oh no, I'd lose a lot of fans if I did that." It's like, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
right. We're doing it for you. And they really felt like, I think to this day, even like abandoned by the musician community. And now, look what's happened, right? Everything's gone to absolute shit.
Yeah.
You're getting half a penny per stream on Spotify. Artists have no real control over this. It seems like the record companies are screwed. Like they've stopped making money like crazy because they were unwilling to look at this new technology and say, look, how do we harness this? They were like, no, we're going to protect our old business model. We want people going to stores and buying records and buying CDs, and that's the way it's going to we're going to force it. But the genie's out of the bottle, right? Like the genie's out of the bottle.
Well, it's interesting because I think our next episode we're going to be talking about amateur versus professional musicians, right? Kind of your trade-offs and stuff, and there's a lot to be said, which I will talk about in our next episode, about how technology really, like, there is an absolute proportion as technology does this, the ability for musicians to make a living off of music goes down.
Well,
right?
so far it
yeah,
has been, that's
yeah,
for sure. I mean, over the course of musical history, like, no, because, you know, as soon as you could start recording things and getting copyright on them and selling them, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, big rock stars in the 70s, 80s, whatever, were flying around their own jets and living in giant mansions. You know, people made a lot of money, even up until like 2000, and that, you know, Metallica made tons of money. And those few bands that can still do the kind of tours where you sell out like Rogers Arena, you know, the Sky Dome, whatever, and sell merch like AC/DC can, you know, those people are fine.
I just want to know how we can get SHAG lunchboxes and pencil cases out into the market. Like, that would be excellent.
Yeah. Well, you got to get the schools to have to use SHAG pencils every year.
It's a new set. As a Mel Brooks would say, you know, we need a Schwartz. It's the most powerful force in the universe, the Schwartz.
So, do you know ultimately what happened in this?
Yeah. Well, Metallica won, you know, quote unquote. And thank you for, you know, and again, this is all, there's millions of sources on this. And Metallica, you know, won. They sued them for like 10 million or 100K per download. They hired an internet investigation firm, which must have been hilarious in the year 2000.
Yeah.
I wish, you know, that must have been hilarious.
No doubt.
Yes, we have a modem. You know, and anyway, they caught in a course of I think a 24 or 36 hour period, 300,000 people sharing just Metallica's music, like in that period of time. And so Lars Ulrich himself, like, testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it's really something to see, actually. It's all online.
I so want to see that.
Yeah, it's actually something else. Like, easy to hate on Lars, right? But they were, in this case, they were fighting the good fight, you know, in my opinion. And I didn't think so at the time.
Well, they went into the business of music, and, you know, we can talk about that next time, right? But, you know, there's a difference. Music is a commodity, and music as just an art. Like, and does art have to be a commodity?
By the way, you know who was behind Metallica? You know, so after the Metallica thing, so basically Napster shut down. They went bankrupt. A bunch of other people came out and like Billy Ocean sued them after that. You know,
really?
Brave, right?
Okay.
So brave.
Give me just a little more.
So they got ruled for. They had to, like, Napster had to put a filter on their service to not allow Metallica songs, which is dumb because then you just spell Metallica with 2 T's, and it's like, you know, 2000 level computer program.
They cracked our code.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember ridiculous things on Napster and LimeWire and those kind of file sharing services. The way that you would get around those kind of things, it's obvious. You just put an underscore in the middle of the thing, or a star or something like that. And it's like, it's fine, right? So anyway, so they went. But interestingly, the bands that were like on the side of Metallica when this happened, like, that were brave, I guess, to stand up or whatever. It was like the rapper guys. It was like Dr. Dre, Eminem. Like, they were like, yeah, you know, these guys are right. Like, you can't just steal somebody's art and not give them any money.
These guys that are literally sampling other music. Yeah, you can't steal art. That's what my lawyers say.
I mean, you can only steal it a bit at a time. It's like that Johnny Cash song.
Sample it, but don't
I
steal
got it one piece at a time. You know that Johnny Cash song?
No, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's a song about a guy that works in a Ford Motor Company, you know, a Ford or whatever, GM, and he steals one piece at a time and brings it home every day at lunch. And then he builds a car. And the chorus is, and this is great, the chorus is, you know, somebody asked him, hey, so what kind of car is that you drive? And he goes, well, it's a 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. They say 58, 59, 60, automobile. Like, it's really funny. It's really funny. But that's actually really funny to think.
So
and then some other bands like Limp Bizkit went on a tour promoted by Napster, where it was free and Napster paid for it, and they encouraged people to download their music and stuff.
Right.
So,
and then Radiohead came up with
Radiohead.
Take in rainbows, you can just pay what you want.
That's my Desert Island record. If I were to be stranded on a desert island for the rest of my life and I only had one album to listen to, what would it be? In Rainbows. That's it. That's mine. Yeah.
Well, there's much to say about all of this, but that was
Yeah.
a fun moment in music litigation history.
Well, that was
Right.
very educational. Do you
Yeah.
have any additions, Daj?
Me? Well, I mean, I'm interested in the evolution where it used to be all about copyright, and then there was this moment where the technology, as you were talking about, came on to loops, recordings, and backing tracks. And I remember back, time traveling back to the 70s, the Electric Light Orchestra, Jeff Lynne.
Yellow.
Great band.
Yeah.
He ended up producing the
Super.
last Beatles album. But he got sued very early on in the 70s for Electric Light Orchestra would tour with like a symphony kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
But there was an allegation that they were using backing tracks. And from my recollection, it was the symphony, not the vocals. But their promoters sued them. I think they sold out the Pontiac Silverdome twice. And the guy who promoted it said, I got the backing tracks and I'm going to sue him. And it settled out of court. No backing tracks ever materialized. But essentially people went, yeah, it wasn't lip syncing. It was just backing tracks. And that didn't kill ELO's career, but it really tarnished it.
Wow.
And then you move on to
It's
like
just so
today,
funny, 'cause now
where
it's
every
like,
band, we
whatever.
don't use backing tracks,
Yeah.
but other than
Lots of
Groove is in the
bands
Heart,
do.
we do the intro bit,
Yeah.
but that's it.
It's
But
considered just
It's
part of music.
acceptable,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
lip syncing and all that.
I think lip syncing is still,
Yeah.
I think that's still a step too far. But I think like backing tracks, it's just been accepted as just,
Pavarotti got sued for lip syncing.
What?
Yeah,
No.
he did. This was just the era, like the 90s into the
needed-
news.
He needed a stunt vocalist.
Yeah.
But there was in Italy, BBC was doing a thing. BBC knew beforehand he was going to use a track, and then they did it. It goes out, it gets exposed. He used the track. They sued him,
Hilarious.
even though they knew. Apparently,
No.
people are saying, and he paid back the money. He went, fine, whatever. I'm Pavarotti.
What year was it? Do you remember?
People know I can sing.
Yeah. My reputation precedes me.
What
Yeah.
year was it?
91 maybe.
I don't know, because there was an era where I was looking at him and I was like, you look like you're about to like clutch your chest and just drop dead of a heart attack.
I think
in a
that's part of the
second.
opera ambulance.
Well,
You're
a bunch of money.
You're a professionally trained opera singer, aren't you?
yes, yeah, but well, a little more these days. I'm a little more robust these
But you
days.
know,
But back then, I was just a little skinny waif. But you could hear me at the back of the auditorium anytime. But yeah, no, I mean, I kind of felt like there was sort of an era that he looked like he maybe enjoyed a bit too much wine or something, and
Hey, he's Italian.
He's a rock star.
was having like getting to a gig and performing like that might have been challenging at some point, right? Is all I'm saying.
Right.
So
Right.
And as far as
Yeah.
like ELO goes, I can see behind the scenes. They're like, well, this score calls for 15 orchestral people.
Yeah.
Do you know how much those people cost?
Yeah, we'll
We
pay
have
for
to give them-
3.
we have to give them a per diem, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
listen, we're gonna have to drop a French horn,
Yeah.
okay?
Nobody will notice. We got.
And the ELO guys are like, that French horn is crucial.
it's integral.
Don't worry, you're gonna
Yeah.
get your French horn.
And yet
okay?
nowadays, as long as there's nice synchronized dancing, people go, how can you expect them to sing,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. Super
Okay.
interesting.
So, if anyone
yeah.
else has any interesting legal law kind of music
Yeah.
things,
Who else got
let us
sued?
send them in. Let us know,
Yeah,
and maybe
who
we'll
else got
talk about
sued
those
and-
on a future episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. There
All
you
right.
go. And
Well-
speaking of which, we would like people to send in their music that we can play in the background
Yes.
Yeah.
to create
Send in your
ambience,
royalty-free music,
Yeah,
so
please
we
do.
won't pay you royalties. but,
which is
But
terrible.
we won't make any money either.
But next episode, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that amateur versus professional.
Yeah.
Do it for the love.
Do it for the love.
Well,
Oh,
that's
we're
it.
empty. Oh no,
We're
we
empty.
didn't.
You're not, but-
No, I have a sip left.
cheers.
Day drinking.